The third time Olivia pressured me to divorce by bringing up her first love. I smiled and signed the papers. She gripped them tightly, staring at the divorce document in her hands. "Do you have no regrets?" she asked. I gave a faint smile, one of finality and release. "I've thought it through. Let's get this divorce." Olivia stared at the name I'd signed for a long while, her eyes flickering with complex emotions. "This isn't a game," she said coldly. "Don't sign it and then regret it later. I don't have time to play house with you." She always wore that icy expression, as though ever since we got married, she rarely smiled at me anymore. And honestly, who could blame her? There was a time when I clung to our marriage, refusing to let go, and she hated me for it. Why would she treat me kindly now? Calmly, I removed the wedding ring from my finger, placed it on the coffee table, and smiled at her. "I've thought it through. Let's divorce." At my words, Olivia's brows furrowed even tighter. "Henry, I'll ask you again, have you really thought this through?" Her face remained distant, indifferent. I knew what she was doing. She was warning me not to back out halfway. I'd heard her first love say that after our divorce, they planned to move abroad together and start anew. But looking at her resolute demeanor now, I felt a strange sense of relief. Because if this were the past, I wouldn't have been able to let go no matter what. But now, I finally could. "Olivia," I took her hand, calling her name one last time. Her gaze wavered slightly. "If you can't let go." Before she could finish, I gently helped her remove her wedding ring. Olivia froze, stunned. Without hesitation, I tossed both rings into the trash. 3 years ago, filled with passion, I had placed that ring on Olivia's finger myself. 3 years later, I was the one taking it off for her. From today onward, this chapter of our lives was officially closed. It's over between us. My voice was calm, steady. When I married Olivia, I had no idea about the existence of Lucas. I thought our meeting, our connection, and the moments we shared were all fated. But when Lucas reappeared in her life after our marriage, I realized the truth. It had all been one big joke. Olivia often mentioned him, saying how much he and I were alike. This time, after returning home for the first time in years, I insisted on meeting him. Lucas approached me casually. "Hello, I'm Lucas, Olivia's friend. You've worked hard these past years taking care of her." I stood there, frozen, as he spoke words that felt like a claim of ownership. Even when his grip on my hand turned it bright red, I didn't notice. Olivia warmly welcomed Lucas, opening the premium tea set meant as a gift for my father's introduction ceremony, and brewed a cup just for him. As he accepted the teacup, his fingers lightly brushed against hers, though she quickly pulled her hand back. The scene unfolded right before my eyes. "So many years have passed," he said, "and yet you still remember the kind of tea I like. You once told me during our travels between America and England that this tea has such a fragrant aroma. I've never forgotten." They continued reminiscing about their shared memories. Memories that belonged only to the two of them, with no place for me. I stood alone by the door, suddenly realizing my marriage was crumbling apart. That night, I had my first fight with Olivia. She was flustered, breathing heavily, unable to understand why. She accused me of being unreasonable, of starting trouble for no reason. Inside, my anger grew fiercer. "You and Lucas were childhood sweethearts, each other's first loves. You've kissed, you've loved each other, and even vowed to marry in a place where divorce wasn't possible. Why didn't you ever tell me any of that? Why did you have to hide it from me? Olivia, in your heart, what exactly am I?" Olivia irritably brushed my hand away. She didn't even bother to explain. Too lazy to care, only using indifference to brush me off with a dismissive attitude. "Henry, if I really wanted something with Lucas, I would have done it long ago. Can you stop being so sensitive?" I didn't know how long my marriage with Olivia would last, but I always thought, one day at a time was better than nothing. I loved her. I truly loved her to the point of being unable to let go. If I lost her, I didn't know how far I'd fall apart. But reality proved that I had overthought everything. Perhaps I hadn't loved deeply enough. Or maybe, finally, I had become rational enough to realize that she wasn't worth clinging to. In short, if I had understood back then that short pain is better than prolonged suffering, I definitely wouldn't have dragged this out until now. Olivia's expression darkened, perhaps feeling that my decision to initiate the divorce had wounded her pride. But no matter the reason, None of it mattered anymore. Whenever you're ready to go to court, just let me know in advance. I'll make time for it. With those words, I turned and walked away. Unexpectedly, Olivia chased after me, blocking my path. Henry, what are you trying to pull on me now? Just look at her. Even at this final moment, she still feared that my agreement to divorce was just some hidden ploy. But what could I possibly be thinking? I simply wanted to set her free. And also to free myself. I sighed, brushing Olivia's hand away. You can rest assured. This time I mean it. After the divorce, I won't interfere with you or Lucas anymore. Of course, their plan to move abroad together. I wasn't foolish enough to chase them out of jealousy. Move abroad? What do you mean, move abroad? Olivia's mind raced in confusion. Maybe she forgot about it in her excitement over my agreement to divorce. But I no longer felt the need to explain. Olivia, go home. I gestured toward her. I need to leave too. Olivia's eyes reddened as she stared at me intently. Why are you suddenly agreeing this time? I'm tired, I replied calmly. Just because of one dinner. Huh? One dinner. She remembered it well. If not for that dinner, Olivia wouldn't have repeatedly brought up divorce so many times. But clearly, I was the one who got hurt. I had painstakingly prepared a candlelit dinner. A romantic setup for our wedding anniversary. I even personally picked out a gold necklace to gift her. Where had I gone wrong? At that moment, I was busy preparing everything, full of hope. But in the end, all I received from her was a single sentence. Lucas has a fever. I'm taking him to the hospital for an IV drip. I won't be coming home tonight. All my efforts were wasted. Looking at the untouched feast on the table, I couldn't understand what exactly made me inferior to Lucas. My phone screen lit up with a message from a friend. Happy wedding anniversary. I know you're having a candlelit dinner. Not sure if you'll see this, but I still want to wish you happiness. Sigh, looks like you're happy again. That message, paired with my lonely image, was bitterly ironic. The next morning, Olivia returned. She looked at the cold, uneaten meal on the table, stunned for a moment before scolding me. Didn't I tell you not to wait for me? You made all these dishes, and no one ate them. Such a waste. I swallowed my anger, but eventually, I exploded right then and there. We had a fierce argument, and for the first time in my life, during a marital fight, I swore to God in frustration. Olivia was furious and slapped me. Over one dinner? Do you really need to act like this? I didn't understand why she was so upset. Jealousy should have its limits, shouldn't it? I didn't want to hear another word from her. Aren't you just trying to go back to Lucas? Why pretend anymore? Henry, are you insane? Olivia screamed at me. Both of us fell silent. I said nothing, planning to calm down later. I planned to sit down and have a proper conversation with Olivia to resolve everything. But then, she suddenly blurted out, "That's right, I do want to go back to him. Are you satisfied now? Lucas is more handsome than you, richer than you, more charismatic than you, more generous than you. Besides, I've only ever loved him. Are you happy now? Only someone who truly knows you can strike where it hurts the most." I felt like I was nailed to the cross. Every word Olivia said cut into me like a knife slicing through my skin. Life suddenly felt so meaningless. Olivia scolded me until her voice grew hoarse, then coldly stared at me. All this over one dinner? I'm truly exhausted. Let's just get a divorce. In the end, she still blamed everything on that one dinner. But she didn't understand, this wasn't just about a meal. After that, Olivia handed me divorce papers twice. Each time, she mocked me. Henry, we're at this point entirely because of you. We were never suited for each other. Maybe it was a mistake from the very beginning. If I had known you'd make such a big deal out of one dinner, I definitely wouldn't have married you. As if everything really stemmed from that one dinner. And now, she brought it up again. Because of one dinner, she forced me to admit defeat. But so what? Even if I explained everything, she wouldn't listen. She no longer had any place for me in her heart. For us, whether it was about that one dinner or not no longer mattered. But maybe, when breaking up, everyone needs an excuse to blame the other person. Right, it was all because of one dinner. I went along with her words and smiled faintly in response. Olivia stood frozen, her lips trembling but unable to form words. We stared at each other for a long while before she finally spoke. You stay here. This house was always yours anyway. I'll move in with Lucas. Tomorrow we'll go to the civil affairs office. Hearing that, I felt a strange sense of relief. Before, I had worried, what if she mentioned Lucas in front of me? Would I still feel jealous? Would I still feel hurt? Thankfully, I felt nothing. All right, what time tomorrow? I asked. Olivia suddenly paused midway through packing. She sat there silently for a few seconds, then angrily threw her suitcase onto the floor. Her eyes locked onto mine, filled with questions and blame, layered beneath a thin veil of icy mist. 8 in the morning, she replied, her gaze never leaving mine for a second. 8 o'clock, right when the civil affairs office opened. How eager she must be to divorce me. I gave a bitter smile. It wasn't regret or longing, it was disappointment. It wasn't worth it for everything I had given. It wasn't worth it for 3 years of torment that left my heart bleeding. All right, see you tomorrow at the civil affairs office. I nodded. Do you have anything else to pack? Should I call Lucas to come pick you up? Henry? Olivia started to say something, then stopped herself, biting her lip tightly. I continued, my tone calm and composed. In truth, our relationship falling apart like this, it's all my fault. At that, she shook her head, confused. No, I meant that 3 years ago. I cut her off, laughing bitterly at myself. You never responded. But now that we're getting divorced, I might as well defend myself a little. I smiled indifferently, as if talking about something unrelated to me. The fault isn't mine. Olivia, you let go of me first. And now, I'll let go too. I hope that after the divorce, we'll never see each other again. Lucas arrived to pick Olivia up. I was the one who called him, she didn't even know. Before leaving, she said goodbye to me several times. Henry, I'm leaving now. I'm really going. So, I'll be off then. By the third time, I was starting to lose patience. I stepped in front of the door, blocking her way. Go ahead and leave. Olivia lowered her head, loneliness etched across her face. Lucas attentively helped her load her luggage into the car. She walked away but turned back every 3 steps to look at me. I decisively closed the door. The moment the door clicked shut, I caught a glimpse of Olivia's lingering, reluctant gaze. As for me, I simply turned away as if I hadn't seen it. That night, I slept soundly. A sense of calm settled in my heart, as though the heavy rock that had weighed on me for years had finally been lifted. I could breathe easy again. The next morning, I dressed more neatly than usual. Only then did I realize I had been living under Lucas's shadow, and there was no one by my side. But strangely, I didn't feel lonely at all. On the contrary, I felt light, refreshed. I was about to embrace a completely new beginning. Early in the morning, there weren't many people at the civil affairs office. Olivia and I quickly completed all the formalities. At the farewell, we each walked out of the gate separately. Olivia said nothing. Lucas leaned in to whisper something to her, but she acted as if she hadn't heard him. I was planning to find a nearby spot to grab a bite to eat, when I saw a woman walking straight toward me. She had a graceful figure and smiled warmly at me. For a moment, my mind went blank. A familiar silhouette surfaced from deep within my memories. She approached me, took off her sunglasses, glanced back at Olivia a few times, let out a soft, HMPH, and laughed. Then she said to me, I didn't make it to your wedding, but I managed to come just in time to invite you over for a meal. Sophia's appearance was unexpected. Counting the time, it had been ages since we last saw each other. Our most recent meeting must have been on the day of my wedding. I still remembered it vividly. The night before the wedding, James called me, saying Sophia was drunk at the hot pot restaurant we used to frequent. I asked why she'd drunk so much. James sighed deeply, then handed the phone to Sophia, telling her to explain herself. Sophia giggled drunkenly into the phone. Henry, congratulations. You've had so much to drink. Will you even be able to get up tomorrow to be the bridesmaid? There was silence on the other end. Sophia mumbled softly, You're getting married. I'm happy. I'm drinking because I'm happy. Can't I be happy? Her voice sounded strange, lower than usual, almost as if she had a cold. I sighed. No matter how happy you are, you can't drink like this. It's bad for your stomach. Seeing you happy makes me happy too. I was about to offer some more advice, but James's voice came back on the line. He said Sophia had fallen asleep, telling me not to worry, that he'd take care of her. The next morning, Sophia appeared at my wedding as if nothing had happened. She was radiant, cheerful, her smile dazzling. It was as if the drunken Sophia from the night before had been nothing more than a fleeting dream. Sophia enthusiastically greeted the wedding guests, helping me ensure everything ran smoothly. Throughout the entire process, she handled everything flawlessly, leaving no room for criticism. Even Olivia couldn't help but remark, "Why is Sophia being so dedicated? It's like this is her own wedding." Dedication doesn't always mean happiness. I didn't understand the hidden meaning behind James's words. Just as I was about to ask, Sophia rushed over to divert the conversation. Sometimes she talked about wedding arrangements. Other times she comforted me, telling me not to stress too much. She looked at me, wishing me a lifetime of happiness with the most sincere tone. After the wedding, before she even had time to change out of her outfit, Sophia hurriedly flew abroad. Her brother said it was to continue her studies. I tried calling Sophia once, but she didn't pick up. I guessed she hadn't seen the call, so I sent another message. "Why are you in such a hurry to leave? We were supposed to gather with the others, weren't we?" It wasn't until evening that she finally replied, "Let's meet up another time when we have the chance." Time slipped by unnoticed. Sophia was still abroad and hadn't returned. James was busy with work, while his family kept pressuring him to have a second child. As for me, don't even get me started. I was emotionally and physically drained from everything that had happened. 3 years had passed since that promise, yet none of us had followed through. This reunion left me feeling somewhat disoriented. "What's wrong? It's only been 3 years. Did you forget about me already?" Sophia poked my chest lightly with her index finger, pretending to be upset. "You're really heartless. You know that?" That's when I finally snapped back. "When did you get back? Why didn't you let me or James know so we could pick you up at the airport?" Sophia seemed pleased with my reaction and even joked, "If it's not too much trouble, I'll call a taxi right now and head to the airport so you can welcome me all over again." Her joke made me laugh. "Oh, right," I said. "Why are you here anyway? I thought I only mentioned the divorce to James. Did you two happen to bump into each other?" Sophia casually flipped her hair and replied, "It's fate, I guess." Olivia watched Sophia with suspicion. Though she didn't say anything, I could clearly see hostility flickering in her eyes. Lucas's phone rang, and he walked off to take the call. Meanwhile, Olivia kept staring intently at us. "How long are you planning to stay this time?" I asked Sophia. "Call James too. We should have a proper gathering." "No need for you to remind me. I've already arranged everything," Sophia said as she pulled me further away from Olivia. "Tonight, I'll have James come over, and we'll grill some barbecue at your place." Before I could process what she'd said, she added, "But first, you're taking me out for breakfast. What kind of light hot pot soup is this? Henry has never liked eating like that. Why are you dragging him along?" Olivia suddenly interjected. The atmosphere fell silent. Sophia and I both turned to look at Olivia. Even Lucas, who was on the phone, instinctively glanced back. Olivia looked embarrassed, quickly averting her gaze from mine. But Sophia wasn't one to back down. She immediately confronted her. "You sure meddle a lot. You're divorced now. Why are you still trying to control someone else?" "Oh, Miss Olivia," Sophia teased, her tone dripping with sarcasm, making Olivia feel utterly humiliated. "What gives you the right to say that? It'll take 30 more days to finalize the divorce papers." Olivia gritted out, "Technically, we're still not completely divorced." She wasn't wrong, but what difference did those 30 days make? After all, during our arguments, she herself had once said, "Do you think you're so great? If it weren't for the complicated divorce procedures, I would have already gone with Lucas." Clearly, she probably wanted the divorce finalized even more than I did. "So you're saying you don't want the divorce anymore?" Sophia pressed on, stepping in front of me protectively. "Why don't you ask the guy on the phone over there if he agrees?" She went on, her voice sharp. "This is hilarious. Are you holding on to the marriage just for convenience? We're both women here. What kind of lovesick act are you putting on for me? Even a dog would shake its head at your performance." Sophia's words had always been sharp-edged. In the past, I often reminded her to watch what she said. Not everyone saw her as a privileged young lady. One day, someone might teach her a lesson. But she never cared, confidently patting her chest and declaring, "I don't mess with people unless they mess with me first. Anyone who steps on my head is getting knocked down hard." James would always chuckle and say, "Being a woman does have its perks. As men, We can't afford to be so blunt, we have too many things to consider. 3 years had passed, but Sophia hadn't changed a bit. After finishing her tirade, she shot me a glance. She knew I didn't approve of her confrontational nature. But today, for the first time, I felt a strange sense of relief. It struck me how society heaps so many expectations onto people. Men must yield to women. Men must be generous. I had tried to maintain composure during that failed marriage, but it was exhausting, bound by countless invisible chains. I felt trapped in an iron cage, sinking to the bottom of the ocean, unable to speak. Now, someone was standing up for me, voicing the truths I couldn't bring myself to say. It felt good. Lucas finished his call and walked over to Olivia's side. Clearly, he had heard the entire argument between her and Sophia, but he chose to pretend he hadn't heard anything. He simply told Olivia, "Olivia, there's an urgent matter at the office. I need to leave right now. I can't see you off." "What did you say?" Olivia stared at Lucas in disbelief. But before she could react, Lucas had already turned and walked away. Oh, the ex-husband she'd just divorced left, and even the other woman ran off. What a disaster. Olivia was so furious her face turned red. I'd never seen her lose control like that before. In the past, she always made things difficult for me, losing her temper openly in public without restraint, criticizing my family during gatherings, and belittling me in front of friends. Yet, not once did I complain. But now, I no longer needed to endure. "Sophia, don't think I don't know what's going through your mind." Olivia's voice trembled with anger, veins popping on her forehead. "Oh, so you can read minds now? Then why don't you guess what's on my mind right now? Am I thinking about slapping you to vent my frustration? Or maybe taking advantage of this empty moment to steal your ex-husband away from you?" After saying that, Sophia deliberately leaned closer to me. What are you even talking about? The other woman actually has the nerve to act all righteous? Have you no shame, standing here causing trouble? You really think you're so important, don't you? I suggest you go home and pour a pot of oil into a pan. Let's see if it burns you when it splatters. Olivia was trembling with rage. "You're insane. Olivia, if you want to talk, then talk, but don't insult others." I looked directly at her. Just moments ago, she had scolded me too. At first, I tried to tolerate it, but now I'd heard enough. Olivia was speechless, unable to respond. Sophia smirked triumphantly, leaning her head on my shoulder. She shot Olivia a sly glance. "Can't even find someone to pick a fight with, serves you right." I quickly invited Sophia to grab some food and led her away. Before leaving, Sophia turned back to warn Olivia. "Henry is a kind-hearted person who often thinks swallowing his pride will solve everything. But I'm different, Olivia. If you keep causing trouble for him, just wait and see what happens." Olivia looked at me, hoping I'd say something on her behalf. But I remained silent. She stood by the door, watching the car carrying us drive away. There was no one left by her side. It was exactly how I had arrived. That evening, Sophia and I went to James's house for dinner as planned. His wife greeted us warmly. Sophia even specially prepared gifts for everyone. James placed a piece of grilled beef into my bowl. "This is your favorite dish. Don't accuse me of hogging all the food this time. All right?" Sophia blinked mischievously. "Henry still prefers light flavors, right?" Hearing that, James burst out laughing. "What are you talking about, Sophia? Back in the day, didn't we all used to go out for barbecues together? Henry would even blanch his meat in clear broth before eating. Eating too much greasy food gives him stomachaches, have you forgotten?" Yet Olivia had once said very seriously, "Henry doesn't like eating lightly." As if she understood me so well. Sophia scratched her head. "I thought Henry's taste buds had really changed. You have no idea. Earlier today I got into an argument with Olivia, and I was so worried it was driving me crazy." The moment she finished speaking, the entire table fell silent. James coughed lightly, signaling Sophia to stop talking. He glanced at me, then quietly added 2 more pieces of beef to my bowl. I understood James's intentions. Olivia liked spicy food, while I was always criticized by her for eating bland dishes. She complained so much that whenever a dish lacked flavor, I ended up forcing myself to eat spicier food just to please her. Perhaps that's why, over time, she forgot that I had changed my eating habits just to accommodate her. In truth, I didn't like spicy food at all. I even had a slight allergy to chili peppers. But she had never cared about any of this. After a few rounds of drinks, Sophia was completely drunk. James and I tried to persuade her to stop drinking, waving us off with a laugh. She said, "You're divorced now, I should be happy for you." Helplessly, I poured her a glass of cold tea to sober her up. "When I got married, you were happy for me too. Now that I'm divorced, here you are celebrating again." With that, I gathered the trash from the table and threw it away. Seeing this, James chuckled. "Looks like everyone's almost done eating." It was getting late. "Henry, take Sophia home. My wife and I can clean up here." "Yeah, sure." I stood up to help Sophia. James stepped forward to lend a hand, but his wife swatted him away. "Sophia's already got Henry to take care of her. Why are you barging in? Come help me over here." James scratched his head awkwardly. "Then, let me at least see them off for a bit." His wife immediately pushed him toward the kitchen. "Stop it already. Can't you take a hint?" James and I exchanged glances, both of us laughing sheepishly. His wife walked me to the door and gently patted my shoulder. "Be careful on the way back. And stay safe." "Yeah, I will." I took Sophia back to her place. Her brother opened the door. Seeing how drunk she was, he didn't ask any questions, just quietly supported her and asked if I wanted to come in and rest for a while. I waved my hand, exchanged a few polite words, and headed home. The next morning, someone knocked on my door. I opened it. It was Olivia. "What is it?" I asked. "I left some things behind. I've come back to get them." "Suit yourself." I stepped aside to let her in. She only managed 2 steps before suddenly stopping. "These things, you really don't want them anymore?" Olivia lowered her head, her fingers clenched so tightly they turned white. I followed her gaze. It was the pile of keepsakes I'd thrown into the trash. Most of them were mementos from our time together. But now, I no longer needed them. "That's right, I cleaned up a bit this morning. The house feels much tidier," I said casually. Olivia turned her back to me, her shoulders stiffening. After a long moment, she sat down and began pulling each item out of the trash. The bead bracelet we'd exchanged when we first met. The ceramic piece she'd made by hand during one of our dates. The card she'd drawn for me on our wedding night. A few small gifts I'd bought just because she liked them. Things that were once treasures now held no value. Thinking about it, I let out a bitter laugh. I had poured my heart and soul into preserving this love, only for it all to mean less than a single glance they shared upon reuniting. I was no different from a gambler who'd lost everything. "If you don't need them, give them to me," Olivia said, turning her head to look at me with a strained smile, one that seemed almost pitiful. "If you want them, take them. Saves me the trouble of throwing them out." I spoke indifferently. A flicker of hope lit up in her eyes. "You really don't need any of this anymore? Why, don't you want them either? If not, leave them there. I'll toss them out with the trash later." "No, I want them. I want all of them. Get me a bag. I'll gather them up and take them home. There's a trash bag under the coffee table. Look for it yourself." I gestured absently, then went back to the kitchen to finish cooking. Not long after, as I brought the dishes out, I saw Olivia sitting on the couch, staring blankly at me, her eyes hollow as if her soul had been drained. I called her name twice before she snapped out of it, offering an apologetic smile. "I remember how busy you used to be in the kitchen, always trying to make me happy. Just now, seeing you cook again, it felt like we were back to the way things used to be." I cut her off. "You said you came back to pick up forgotten things. Are you done?" Olivia hesitated for a moment before replying. "Yes, I'm done. Did you miss anything?" "I don't think so." I sat down, eating as I asked, "Is there anything else?" She hesitated for a while, then suddenly blurted out, "Would it bother you if I stayed for dinner?" I glanced at the food on the table. Stir-fried vegetables, bok choy, steamed fish, all dishes that didn't suit her taste. Eating with someone who no longer cares about you isn't exactly comfortable. Besides, I only cooked enough for one person. I spoke bluntly, leaving no room for negotiation. Olivia caught the underlying message loud and clear. "I'm sorry, am I bothering you?" "Yes." She fell silent. "I think you should go now," I reminded her. Olivia gave a bitter smile, so eager to chase me away. "Are you?" I thought for a moment, then replied, "Yes. You really are stingy with your words." It was strange hearing that from her. After all, in the past, she was always the one complaining about me. Olivia stared at me vacantly, observed me for a few seconds, then quietly picked up the trash bag and turned to leave. When she reached the door, she suddenly turned back, as if she had made some kind of decision. Actually, that day when I handed you the divorce papers, it wasn't because, before she could finish, Sophia arrived. Not because of what? Sophia stepped in front of me, clearly intrigued. Olivia frowned, visibly displeased. What are you doing here? Haha, how amusing. Sophia glanced at Olivia. And what about you? Why are you here? What a coincidence. Two rivals meeting in close quarters. The two of them exchanged sharp words, neither willing to back down. In the end, Olivia lost the battle. She simply said goodbye to me and left. Why are you eating so early? Sophia sat down on the chair. My brother was planning to invite you over for dinner. I smiled and scooped more rice for her. All right. Sophia rested her chin on her hand, her eyes crinkling as she smiled at me. It's been ages since I've had food cooked by you. You know. I handed her another bowl of rice. She ate heartily. The food you cook is so delicious. I bet whoever marries you will be so lucky. As she spoke, she shoveled another spoonful of rice into her mouth. Sophia was always like that, always comforting me with positivity, pointing out my good qualities bit by bit and encouraging me not to lose hope. Being around her felt so easy and comfortable. Who knows what the future holds? But for now, I'm just enjoying this meal. I joked lightly. Sophia's eyes curved into crescent moons. I'd love to eat this well every day. How about this? Why don't you marry me? Sophia propped her hand against her cheek, tilting her head to look at me. Anyway, you'll remarry eventually, and my family keeps pressuring me to get married too. Why don't we just pair up? That way, I'll have delicious meals every day. I was momentarily taken aback. Seeing my reaction, Sophia looked at me anxiously. Sorry, I was only joking with you. I went too far, didn't I? Don't be mad, okay? She took a step back. Even if we don't end up together, we can still be friends, right? I understood well how suffocating it could feel to compromise for someone else. Sophia still smiled, but I noticed the faint redness glistening at the corner of her eyes. Sophia, stop talking. I intended to pat her head to comfort her, but as I raised my hand, I realized it wouldn't be appropriate, so I quietly pulled it back. Tell me about your life abroad instead. Share something fun, it'll make us both feel better. Sophia looked at me for a long time, then nodded. All right, we talked for a very long time. From the sunrise in the east to the sunset in the west. From sunflowers to the stars in the sky. Our conversation flowed effortlessly, without a hint of fatigue. After seeing Sophia off, I sat on the sofa, reflecting on what she had said during dinner. But I couldn't respond. I didn't know how to continue being by her side. Sophia was an incredible woman, but I couldn't just end one relationship and immediately jump into another. The thought kept me tossing and turning, unable to sleep. A few days later, perhaps unsure how to handle our dynamic, Sophia decided not to bring up that day's conversation again. I tactfully avoided asking about it too. It was as if nothing had happened. Between us lay a thin veil of understanding, silently acknowledging each other's feelings as we continued our friendship. Until the 30th day arrived, and Olivia and I went to the Civil Affairs Bureau to finalize the divorce. Do you have anything to say to me? Before stepping inside, Olivia asked, her eyes brimming with hope. Henry, just one word from you. Olivia, I interrupted her softly. Let's get this over with. I have dinner plans with James and Sophia. Sophia again? Olivia's emotions flared up suddenly. Yes, I nodded. What, is there a problem? Olivia furrowed her brows tightly. You're divorcing me because of Sophia, aren't you? I chuckled. Have you forgotten? You were the one who first suggested the divorce. I only made a mistake. A mistake? Can you really call it a mistake in matters of the heart? But I thanked her. I didn't want to dwell on it anymore. Whether it was intentional or accidental, it didn't matter. In short, the 3 times she asked for a divorce, each time it was because of Lucas. I was tired, exhausted. I agreed to the divorce. Both sides were in agreement, so there was nothing left to blame. At this point, saying anything more wouldn't change a thing. I gently patted Olivia's back, urging her, let's go inside, I'm in a hurry. Henry, how did we end up like this? What do you mean? Isn't this just about finalizing the paperwork? Are you trying to tell me right now that you still love me? I shot back sarcastically. Olivia hesitated for a moment, then finally lowered her head and whispered softly, I still love you. How could that be? I knew Olivia's personality well. She had never been one to admit fault. This was no different, but fine, it saved me the trouble of having to argue further. In that case, let's go, I said. It didn't take long before we received the divorce certificate. From this day forward, Olivia and I would no longer have any connection. Before leaving, she couldn't help but call out to me, if I hadn't handed you those divorce papers, would you still have asked for a divorce? Yes. I didn't hesitate for a second. Olivia froze for a moment, then asked again, and what if Lucas and I had never met again? In truth, we both knew. The direct cause of our divorce was Lucas's reappearance. But deep down, we also understood, even without Lucas, there would have been someone else, Michael. Perhaps. In short, once a relationship cracks, it can't be mended. I didn't answer Olivia's question. It wasn't because of the cracks, it was because I saw no point. Anything more I said would only be futile. After parting ways with Olivia, I went to meet James and Sophia at our usual spot. Unexpectedly, James had been urgently called back to the office, leaving only Sophia behind. When she saw me approaching hurriedly, she smiled awkwardly. James isn't here. If it's inconvenient, we can reschedule for another time. Sophia seemed unusually reserved, her earlier ease completely gone. That's when I realized we couldn't pretend that earlier conversation hadn't happened. It's fine. Sit down. Two people eating together is good too. I sat across from her, helping her set the tableware. Sophia's expression grew visibly uneasy. Sophia? I called. I have something I want to discuss with you. Go ahead. I hesitated for a moment, considering how to phrase my words. After some thought, I asked, am I the kind of person you'd like? PHF'd. Sophia spat out her sip of water. All eyes in the cafe turned toward us. Blushing furiously, she quickly wiped the water off her shirt and the table. Did you not wake up properly? Why are you asking something like, don't tell me? Sorry, maybe I didn't explain myself clearly. I cut her off. Sophia looked at me, half skeptical, but still asked, so, what exactly are you trying to ask? Do you like me? The second hand silently completed a full rotation. Sophia pulled out her phone and called James. Oh no, Henry's brain might have overheated. What? James's voice sounded astonished on the other end. I calmly took Sophia's phone. It's fine, just focus on your work. Then I hung up. Sophia couldn't help but stare at me intently. What did you say? When I joked about wanting to be your wife, I specifically said it was just a joke. Sophia, when you lie, you bite your lip. Sophia fell silent for 2 seconds. So, does what you're saying today mean we can't be friends anymore? She lowered her head, then gave a bitter smile. If I'd known this would happen, I wouldn't have joked about that back then. We used to be able to stay friends. But now, looks like we can't even do that anymore. Her tone wavered between jest and sincerity, revealing her true feelings. For some reason, seeing her like that made my heart tighten unexpectedly. I let out a sigh. What nonsense have you been spouting? Sophia froze, looking up at me. Henry, I do want to clarify things with you, but I've never thought about cutting ties. After what happened, it felt like you deliberately kept your distance from me. Our relationship hasn't been the same since. I feel a bit. I paused, searching for the right words. Lonely. You no longer chatter endlessly like before. And honestly, it feels strange. Sophia, you're an amazing person, but I've just come out of a failed relationship. It's okay. Sophia cut in, her eyes sparkling as if lit by 1,000 stars. It suddenly struck me, when did Sophia start liking me? How wonderful it would have been if she'd liked me before I met Olivia. But even if it starts now, I thought, it might not be too late. Once that thin layer between us had been pierced, our relationship returned to its natural ease once more. A few days later, Olivia suddenly called me, saying she was about to fly abroad with Lucas and asked if I could meet her one last time. I declined. Just one meeting. The very last one. No need, I replied. Just open the door, it won't take long. Annoyed, I reluctantly opened the door for her. So you finally agreed to see me? Yeah, I saw you. Now go, I said, turning to close the door. She quickly blocked it with her hand. Wait, what do you want now? I snapped, irritated. Olivia hesitated for a moment, then handed me a pair of cufflinks. Consider it a keepsake. In the past, I used to love collecting cufflinks, but Olivia never approved. To her, it was a waste of money. Once, a friend brought me a particularly special pair from afar. I cherished them and carefully stored them away in a box. But on that very day, unfortunately, Olivia and Lucas went out, claiming they had urgent business to discuss. Then, the weather turned abruptly, and Olivia came back drenched from the rain, shivering and soaked to the bone. When she saw the cufflinks on my table, her anger flared. She scolded me for caring more about those trinkets than noticing the heavy rain and failing to pick her up. If you treasure those cufflinks so much, why don't you marry them instead of me? The memory flooded back, stirring a whirlpool of emotions. Looking at the cufflinks, identical to the ones I once owned, I couldn't help but laugh. Where did you get these? I had a friend bring them back for me. I handed the cufflinks back to Olivia. I'm sorry, but I don't care for them anymore. You keep them. Olivia looked hopeful when she heard my response. Disappointment washed over her face. You don't like them? I can buy you another pair. You can choose whichever you want. She sounded almost frantic. I waved my hand dismissively. No need. I don't want any mementos. Olivia stood there, dumbfounded, muttering under her breath. Why is that? You clearly loved them before. You said it yourself. It was before. I don't anymore. She clenched her fists tightly, suppressing the emotions swelling inside her, and forced a bitter smile. Is it the cufflinks you no longer like, or is it me? Olivia stared into my eyes. The corners of hers slightly reddened. Her gaze carried both reluctance and helplessness. Her voice, once cold and arrogant, now trembled hoarsely. Both. I don't like either anymore. I answered bluntly. She refused to give up. Lucas has already gone abroad. Won't you even try to stop me? If you just say, don't go, I'll stay. Olivia, we've lived together for 3 years. You know how I am. At that, she completely broke down, staring at me in disbelief, her voice hoarse and trembling. Olivia pounded her chest a few times, wanting to say something but unable to find the words. They say that in the deepest moments of pain, you can't speak, but somehow, I couldn't associate the words, pain, or suffering, with Olivia. She clung to the doorframe, laughing like a fool, laughing until she cried. It took her a long while to calm down. Finally, clutching her chest, she spoke with self-mockery. Henry, all this time, I thought I loved Lucas. As for you, at most, it was just dependence. Even when I first came to you, it was only because you reminded me a little of him. But after the divorce, I realized, the person I love isn't Lucas, it's you. I know I'm despicable, but I can't help how I feel. Olivia, you're not thinking straight anymore. It's better if you don't say anything else. I called a car to pick her up. Go back to him, I said. I truly couldn't bear to see a woman cry so desperately. For me, it felt like a form of torture. No need, Olivia snapped, brushing my hand away and grabbing her phone. Henry, if I had told you the truth earlier, if I had swallowed my pride and admitted my mistakes sooner, would things have turned out differently? No, I replied. I've already answered you. I can't say things that go against what I truly feel. Olivia, perhaps because I never clearly addressed our relationship. You've been misunderstanding me until now. So let me make it clear. There's no possibility left between us. I no longer love you. The best outcome for us is to forget each other. You and Lucas should go abroad and start a new life. And I'll begin a new chapter too. Do you think I haven't tried to forget you? Olivia suddenly shouted, her lips trembling. She spread her arms wide and shook her head. I can't do it. I wanted to let go, for both of us. I didn't want to pine for you every day. Didn't want to become one of those bitter women who come crying to you. But I really can't. I came here to say everything. I thought, what if you still had some lingering feelings for me? What if you still loved me? Henry, I missed my chance once. I don't want to miss it again. Just then, the elevator bell rang unexpectedly. Olivia glanced at the display, hesitated for a moment, then pressed the button to close the doors. But just seconds later, Sophia walked straight up from the lower floor to my apartment. When she saw Olivia, Sophia froze for a moment, then stepped forward casually and asked, "What are you doing here looking for Henry?" Seeing how close Sophia and I were, Olivia forced a smile. Are the two of you dating now? It's none of your business. Sophia shot back. Olivia looked at me with despair. Yesterday, Lucas wanted to take me abroad, but I refused. I came to see you. I wanted to meet you. Now that I've seen you, maybe it would have been better if we hadn't met at all. Her tone suddenly grew eerily calm, as though she were recounting someone else's story. But her eyes betrayed her. Everything is my fault. It's my mistake. I deserve this. The elevator reached the floor. Olivia stepped inside, gently wiping her tears, waved at me, and managed a faint smile. Farewell, Henry. I'm leaving. A few days ago, when Lucas came to pick her up to move out, she had bid me farewell in the same way. But this time was different. I could tell she was truly leaving. The knot in my heart finally unraveled. I pulled Sophia into a tight embrace. She didn't understand, gently patting my back. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? I shook my head and smiled. Sophia, thank you. The sky was clear, the clouds light, and the sunlight streamed through the glass, stretching our shadows across the room. From here on, I hoped life would remain peaceful and serene like this. My life gradually returned to calm. No more unexpected calls, no more heavy meetings. Only Sophia remained, the gentle girl who brought me a rare sense of peace. She would often visit, bringing hot meals and her sweet, clear laughter. Bit by bit, she filled the void I once thought could never be mended. One afternoon, we sat together on the balcony, the breeze softly blowing, the last rays of sunlight resting on her hair. Without realizing it, I reached for Sophia's hand. Her small hand trembled slightly before gripping mine tightly. Sophia, I called softly. Yes? She looked up at me, her eyes sparkling like an autumn lake. From now on, will you be willing to walk the rest of the journey with me? She smiled softly, the corners of her lips curving like the warmth of spring. I've been waiting for this question for a very long time. Henry. I held her tightly, feeling our hearts beat as one. In that moment, I realized something. Love isn't about struggle, clinging, or suffering. Love is the peace you find when you're with the right person. From that day on, my life was no longer empty. Every morning when I woke up, there was someone beside me. Whenever I was tired, there was an embrace to lean on. And every time the evening sun set, I knew there would always be a home, a pair of eyes, and a smile, waiting for me to return. Finally, after so many storms, Sophia and I held hands and stepped toward the future together. A future of peace, simplicity, and overflowing happiness.